Okay, now we're looking at Chapter 2, Lesson 5, where we're going to continue to perform operations with multi-digit whole numbers and with decimals to hundredths. Although the lesson says to estimate with two-digit divisors, we're both going to estimate as well as find the actual answer. So in order to get full credit with this homework, you're going to have to not only find the estimate, but the actual answer. We're going to start this the same way we started with dividing with one-digit divisors, and we're going to use a very similar technique. The only difference is we're going to have an extra step. So this is going to mimic 2-1 and 2-2 if you want to rewatch those videos with division with one-digit divisors, but we're going to have one extra step. So first thing we do is write it left to right. 1,322 divided by 18. And we're going to label this as our dividend. That's our total. That's the number that goes, quote unquote, inside the house. 18 is our divisor. So as we put 1,322 inside the house and 18 to the side of it, we're going to ask the same questions we did when this was a one-digit divisor. Now keep in mind that the divisor is the number that goes right here to the left of the house, and what they mean by 2 digits means there's 2 numbers. So there's some ways in which we can use the math cheat sheet, but as some of you guys have already asked, what happens when we get to the 10s, 11s, and 12s? And I know some of you guys asked. I'll show you what we're going to do at this point. We're going to ask our same question. Buddy, 18 times what number gets close to or equal to 1 without going over? And since we don't have a cheat sheet for the 18s, we're going to make one on the right side right here. We're going to say 18 times 0. And we're going to start with 0, and that's 0. Then we'll do 18 times 1, and we know that that's 18. And let's go one more, 18 times 2. If you don't know 18 times 2, keep in mind that we're going to start at the bottom right number. So we're going to multiply 2 by all the numbers on top, starting with 2 times 8. If you don't know your 2 times 8, go to the side here. 2 times 8 is 16. The 6 is going to go here, and we're going to regroup the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, and then we're going to add this number. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So far we know that 18 times 0 is 0, 18 times 1 is 18, and 18 times 2 is 36. So let's see how that helps us. What was the question we're going to ask again? Say, buddy. 18 times what number gets close to or equal to 1 without going over? So if we're looking at the answers here, 18 and 36 are way too high. We're going to be using 18 times 0. 18 times 0 equals 0, and this is the number closest to 1 without going over. Another way to think about it is if you have a 1, this is in the thousands place, if you have $1,000 bill, you cannot split it with 18 people without one person being jealous, right? You'd have to decompose it to hundreds. So 1 minus 0 is 1. Oops, sorry. And what's our next step? The next step would be to bring down the 3. But there's a question we always have to ask ourselves. Is our remainder right now, what we have after we subtracted, less than our divisor? So you could see 1 minus 0 is 1. 1 is less than 18, so now we could bring it down. If this number is not less than your divisor, which at this case is 18, then you made a mistake and you have to restart from that section. Let's bring down the 3. What's the question you're going to ask your buddy now? You're going to say, buddy, 18 times what number gets close to or equal to 13 without going over? So here's our 18 cheat sheet. And we're looking for a number close to or equal to 13 without going over. We have 0, 18, and 36. 36 is way too much. So looking between 0 and 18, if you have 13 and 18, 18 is greater than 13, so we can't use this one either. We're again going to use 0. 18 times 0 equals 0. We're going to subtract 13 minus 0 is still 13. Before we bring down our next number, we're going to have to double check. This number, 13, is less than our divisor. 13 is less than 18, now we can bring it down. Now we're at 132. This is where it gets a little exciting. Here we see that 18 times 0, 0, 1836. All of these numbers multiplying by 0, 1, and 2 are not close enough. So let's try 18 times 5 because it's in the middle of everything. 18 times 5. 5 times 8 is 40. And if you don't know, you could look at our 5s. We're going to start at the bottom right and we're going to multiply everything by 5s. 5 times 8 equals 40. See right there. And you're going to regroup. The 0 goes here, the 4 goes on top. Then we're going to do 5 times the 1. 5 times 1, looking at the cheat sheet, is 5 plus its identity property. And we're going to add that 4 that's hanging up there. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 4 is 9. 18 times 5 is only 90. We want to get to 132. That's not quite high enough. So we don't have to try doing 18 times 4, 18 times 3, because we know that's going to be even less. Let's try a higher number. Maybe let's try 18 times 6. So now we're going to be looking at our 6's. And we're going to multiply 6 by the first number at the top right. 6 times 8. And our cheat sheet says 6 times 8 equals 48. We're going to regroup the 4. Then we're going to multiply 6 by the tens column. 6 times 1 is 6, plus that 4, 6. If you want to use touch math to add, what you do is you take that number 6, and then you look at the 4's here. And then you just say the number after 6 is 7. 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The reason why I started with 6 is because that's the bottom number right here. And when you want to add the 4, you look at the 4's and count one number after 6 on every single dot. 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 108. 108 is getting closer to 32, but we don't know if there's one that could go even higher. So let's try 18 times 7. Because remember, we want to get as close to or equal to 132. So until we exactly hit 132, or until we cross 132, we're going to keep going. When we do 18 times 7s, we're going to look at the 7's cheat sheet. 7 times 8 is 56. We're going to regroup that 5. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 5. We'll look at the 5 touch math. And the number after 7 is 8. So we're going to count all the dots on the 5's, starting at 8 until we stop. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 7 plus 5 is 12. 126 is close to 132. Very close. But like I said, we either want to hit 132 exactly or we want to go over it. So we're not done. 18 times 8 goes next. We're going to be looking at 8 cheat sheet, which I need to use the next page for. 8 times 8 is 64. So we're going to regroup the 6. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 6 is, since we're starting at 8, we're going to add 6. We'll use the 6 touch math. The number after 8 is 9. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 144. Now, we don't have to do 18 times 9 at this point because 144 is over 132. And we wanted to keep going until we either hit exactly 132 or went over. And yes, we did go over. So here's 18 times 5, 6, 7, and 8. We were going to only use one of these math facts. 18 times what number is close to or equal to 132 without going over? 90 is a little too small. 108 is getting closer but still too small. 126 is getting closer but still a little small. 144 went too big. So we're going to be using the math fact that has the 126. So when we read out this math fact, it's 18 times 7 equals 126. So when we're looking at this division problem, 18 times what number? The number 7 equals 126, which you're going to place right here. So 18 times 7, our dividend times part of our quotient equals our divisor times part of our quotient equals our product right here. Subtract these two. 2 minus 6. We can't regroup. We can't do without regrouping. If you have $2 and you try to take 6 away, you won't have enough. The 3 becomes a 2. The 2 becomes a 12. Because keep in mind, when we're taking away 1 from the 10s, we're adding 10 to this. So 2 plus 10 is 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. I gotta find out how to do touch math for subtraction again, I forgot. 2 minus 2 is 0, 1 minus 1 is 0. So now we have 6 left over. Before bringing down the last digit, you're gonna have to ask yourself, is 6 less than our divisor 18? If not, we made a mistake. We have to look at our cheat sheet again because we messed up somewhere. But since 6 is less than 18, we can bring down the 2. And now we're asking ourselves, 18 times what number gets closer or equal to 62 without going over? This is the reason why I never want you to erase your work. One reason is maybe you just multiply something wrong here, and I could just easily see that. Another reason is if we want to get close to 62, we don't have to multiply 18 times 0, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, because we already did those. But looking at what we did so far, the funny part is 62 doesn't really help us with any of the stuff we've written out. We stopped at 18 times 2 is 36, and that's too little. And we started at 18 times 5 equals 90, which is too much. So at this point, since 62 is more than 36 and less than 90, we're going to have to do 18 times 3. And see what happens when you do that. When you look at our 3's, 3 times 8 equals 24. So we're going to put the 4 here and regroup the 2. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2. The number after 3 is 4. So when you look at the 2's and count the touch math, 4, 5. It's 54. 54 is close to 62, but like I said, you want to get close to, you want to hit 62 exactly or go over it. 18 times 4. We'll look at our 4's now. 4 times 8 equals 32. I'm going to put our 2 here and regroup the 3. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3. Here's our touch math. The number after 4 is 5. 5, 6, 7. 7. So now here we have our math facts written out for 18 times 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now we could look for which of these answers gets closer or equal to 62 without going over. 0 is a little off. 18 is still a little too little. 36 is too little. 54 is getting pretty close. And 72 just goes over. So we're going to use this math fact right here. 18 times 3. And circle it. The reason why we couldn't do 18 times 4 is a little too much, and 18 times 2 is a little too little. So, buddy, 18 times what number? We're using the number 3. Is closer or equal to 62 without going over? The answer was 54. We're going to subtract these two numbers. 2 minus 4 you can't do without regrouping or having a negative number. The 2 becomes a 12 because 2 plus 10 is 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. 5 minus 5 is 0. At this point there are no numbers to bring down, and so what we did last time was this is what we circle, and that becomes our remainder. The remainder is going to be represented with a small r. And so you could see here the answer is 73 remainder 8. So that's the standard way of doing it. In order to get full credit, you do have to double check your answer. So multiply your dividend by your quotient and add your remainder. So on the side here, I'm going to do 18 times 73. If you don't know your 3's, you could use your cheat sheet. And we're going to start at the bottom right number, which is a 3. And we're going to multiply it by the two numbers on top, starting with the 1's digit. So the first two numbers we're going to multiply are 3 and 8. 3 times 8 equals 24. The 4 goes here. We're going to regroup the 2. Then we're going to multiply 3 by the 10's on the top, which is the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is, the number after 3 is 4. 4, 5, 54. Then we're going to multiply by the 7. Now, we're done with the 3's here. We're going to move on to the 10's at the bottom. When we multiply by the 7's, this is really 70, so we're going to put a placeholder 0. The reason why I like to put an X on there is to remind myself why I put that 0 there. This 0 wasn't from an answer or anything. This 0 was we're multiplying by 70, not 7. And we're going to multiply 7 by all the numbers on top, starting with the right number, the one in the 1's digit. 7 times 8. 7 times 8 equals 56. And so we'll put the 6 here and regroup the 5 on the next number we're going to multiply. Then we're going to do 7 times 1. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 5. The number after 7 is 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's 12. We're going to add this up. 4 plus 0 is 4. 6 plus 5. If you don't know, you could do 6 plus 5. The number after 6 is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 2 plus 1 is 3, and 1. So far we have 1,314, which does not quite equal 1,322, but we haven't added our remainder yet. So with that remainder 8, we're going to add 8. 8 plus 4, if you don't know, say 8. The number after 8 is 9. Look at the 4s. 9, 10, 11, 12. 1 plus 1 is 2, 3, 1. 1,322 is our dividend, and so you know that we did this correctly. Now, the first step that I want you to do is just to divide it out, the way that we did kind of before when we were doing one-digit divisors, but since we don't have a cheat sheet, you almost have to make a cheat sheet for every single problem. The second thing I want you to do is estimate what the answer is going to be afterwards. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at your answer. And here you can see that 18 didn't go into the 1, because if you have 1,000 of something, then you want to give it to 18 people, it doesn't work out. Same with if you had 13. If you had 13, hundreds, you can't give it to 18 people. So the first number you're going to put on top of will be in the tens value. And when you did 18 times 7, it was close to it. It was the closest one. So what I want you to do, rather than estimate, is I want you to tell me what the answer is going to be between. The answer is going to be between 70. It's going to be more than 70, but less than 80. So rather than estimating, what I want you to do is look at your answer and tell me what happened. Your answer is more than 70, but less than 80. So I know that they're asking for estimates, and for them they gave you the estimates of 60 and 70. What I would rather you do is just solve the actual answer and then tell me what the answer is between. Your answer is more than 70, but less than 80. All right, let's do one more before going on to the word problems. I'm going to need a lot of space for it, so let's do this one. All right, let's try number 2. 1,569 is your dividend. 17 is your divisor. And this is your quotient. So 1,569 is your dividend, that goes inside the house. 17 is your divisor, that goes outside. And you're going to start by writing 17 times 0 is 17. 17 times 1, 17 times 0 is 0. Sorry, guys. 17 times 0 is 0. 17 times 1 is 17, the identity property. 17 times 2, if you don't know, look at your 2's chart. 2 times 7 is 14. And you're going to regroup the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, 34. So far you're going to ask yourself, buddy, 17 times what number gets close to or equal to 1 without going over? 17 already goes over, and that's 17 times 1, so we'll stick with 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. Before bringing down the 5, you have to ask yourself, is this number less than your divisor? 1 is less than 17, so now you could bring it down. If for some reason after you subtract, that number is not less than your divisor, you made a mistake somewhere. Don't move on. Now you're going to ask yourself, buddy, 17 times what number gets close to or equal to 15 without going over? So look at what you've written out so far. Your answer so far is 0, 17, and 34. 34 is too much, 17 is too much, so we're again going to use 0. 17 times 0 is 0. And then we're going to subtract. Before bringing down the next number, you're going to ask yourself, this number that you have left over better be less than your divisor. 15 is less than 17, therefore you could bring it down. And now it's going to get a little tricky. You're going to try to get to 156. Like I did last time, I kind of skipped 3 and 4 for a sec, and I did 17 times 5. Here are your 5s. 5 times 7 is 35. Regroup the 3. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. Ooh, 85 is still very far from 156. So let's try 17 times 6. Now we're looking at our 6s. 6 times 7 equals 42. And we're going to regroup the 4. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 is, we'll look at the 4s. The number after 6 is 7. 7, 8, 9, 10. 102. 102 is getting closer to 156, but you can still go higher. 17 times 7. 7 times 7 is 49. Regroup the 4. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4. The number after 7 is 8. 8, 9, 10, 11. 17 times 8, oops. 119 is getting closer to 156, but it's still not close enough. Still didn't go over, I should say. For the 8s, I need to turn to my next page. 8 times 7 equals 56. I'm going to regroup the 5. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5, the number after 8 is 9. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 136 is getting really close to 156, but let's, just in case, do 17 times 9. 9 times 7 equals 63. I'm going to regroup the 6. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 6. The number after 9 is 10. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 153 is getting close to 156, but just in case, let's try 17 times 10, which we know is 170, and this better not work. You shouldn't have to have a 2-digit number right here. If so, you did something wrong, and before you drop that next number down, this was not smaller than your divisor. So we are going to use 17 times 9, because it gets closest to 156 without going over. We're going to say, buddy, 17 times 9 equals 153. And when we subtract, 6 minus 3 is 3, 5 minus 5 is 0, 1 minus 1 is 0. Before bringing down the next number, make sure that the 3 is less than your divisor. The 3 is less than the 17. Then you're going to see 17 times what number gets close to 39. What I love about this is we've already written this out. And we can see that 5 through 9 are way too high. 17 times 5 is already 85, so we're definitely not going to hit any of those. But here, 17 times 2 is 34, which is close to 39. But just to be on the safe side, let's try 17 times 3. 3 times 7 is 21. We're going to regroup the 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 4, 5. 51 is greater than 39, so we're going to stick with 17 times 2 is 34. So 17 times what number is close to or equal to 39 without going over? We're going to use this math fact, 17 times 2. 17 times 2 equals 34. 9 minus 4 is 5. 3 minus 3 is 0. And from here, there's no more numbers to bring down. So this right here becomes your remainder 5. And you have to double check your answer using multiplication. And we're going to multiply 92 by 17 and add the 5. So 92 times 17. We're going to use our 7's cheat sheet for this. And we're going to start multiplying everything by the bottom right number, which is 7, and everything on top. So we're going to start with 7 times 2. 7 times 2 is 14. Regroup the 1. And we're going to do 7 times 9. 7 times 9 is 63, plus 1 is 64. Then we're going to do the second number. The second number means the second row, placeholder 0. We're going to multiply everything by the 1. 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 9 is 9. When we add these up, make sure your numbers line up. 4 plus 0 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, 9 plus 6 is 15. At this point, your answer should be close to your dividend, if not exactly the same. The only reason why it's not exactly the same is we have to add our remainder of 5. When we add our remainder of 5, it does equal the same amount, 1,569. So to get full credit, make sure that you are showing all your steps along the way. And because they're asking you to estimate, what I want you to do afterwards is just tell me what the numbers go from. The number is, the quotient is more than 90, but less than 100. So I hope that this video helps. The last thing I want to do is kind of go over the word problems with you guys. Remember, for the word problems, we're going to do a part whole. And so we're going to start with the picture box. If we know total, the total always goes on top. A cubic yard of topsoil weighs 1,004 equals. Let's start over. A cubic yard of topsoil weighs 4,128 pounds. About how many 50-pound bags of topsoil can you fill with 1 cubic yard of topsoil? So topsoil, I'm guessing, is going to be some kind of thing for gardening or decorating. But altogether, you have 4,128 pounds of it. So this is the total pounds, and the total goes on top. 4,128 pounds of topsoil total to begin with. What you're going to do with all this topsoil is put them into 50-pound bags. So let's see what that equals. Either that means we're going to have 50 bags, or there's going to be 50 inside of each bag. Let's read it again and figure out if we're having 50 bags or 50 goes inside each bag. A cubic yard of topsoil weighs 4,128 pounds. That's our total. About how many 50-pound bags of topsoil can you fill with 1 cubic yard of topsoil? So 50-pound bags means that if this is bag 1, there's 50 pounds total inside 1 bag. In bag 2, there are 50 pounds. And they're all the same. There's going to be 50 pounds, 50 pounds, 50 pounds. How many bags do we have? So I could label this one. This is how many bags there are. Let's see if it says it in the equation. So read this story again and let's see how many bags we have. A cubic yard of topsoil weighs 4,128 pounds. About how many 50-pound bags of topsoil can you fill? That means how many bags can you fill? You don't know. So this is a question mark. That's what we're finding. Now looking at it, we have a total of 5,128. And with that, we're taking away 50 and putting it inside of a bag. We're taking away 50 and we're putting it inside of a bag. We're taking away 50 and we're putting it inside of a bag. So looking at that, are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? Well, since the number is getting smaller, we're definitely not going to add and we're definitely not going to multiply because we have this total and we keep taking away from it. Now, one way we could do it is subtract 50. So we could do 4,128 minus 50, minus 50, minus 50, over and over until we count how many times you subtracted 50. But since we're repeatedly subtracting 50, we could just divide because division is repeated subtraction. So 4,128 divided by 50. And this looks very similar to the questions on top. So rather than solve it, I'll let you guys kind of play with that one. Let's try number 2 in terms of setting it up. Again, we're going to have a part whole box. An electronics store places an order for 2,665 USB flash drives. What a USB flash drive are those little thumb drives that you could store information on, like digital information, pictures, music, and so forth. And they plug into your computer. One shipping box holds 36 flash drives. About how many boxes will it take to hold all the flash drives? So here, an electronics store places an order for 2,665 USB flash drives total. So 2,665 USB drives total. This is what the total store ordered. Now the way that they're going to get these flash drives are going to be in boxes. So here's one box. Here's box 2. Let's figure out how many is inside each box. So let's read it again. An electronics store places an order for 2,665 USB flash drives. One shipping box holds 36 flash drives. So in box 1, there's 36 flash drives. In box 2, there's 36 flash drives. In the next box, there's going to be 36 flash drives. How many boxes do we have? So I could put a number here. That's what they're asking. About how many boxes will it take? That means it's a question mark. We don't know. That's your X. That's your variable. But we do know the store needs to sell this many. And they're going to take away 36 and put in a box. They're going to take away 36 and put in a box. They're going to take away another 36 and put in a box. So are they getting bigger or smaller? They're getting smaller. So we won't be adding, we won't be multiplying because we're getting smaller. From there, we could subtract and subtract 36, subtract 36, subtract 36, subtract 36. But if you do that, you might make a mistake and it'll take way too long. We could just divide because it's the same number. It's 36 repeated over and over and over, and repeated subtraction is division. 2,655 divided by 36. Go ahead and solve that one and make sure to make picture boxes for the first 2 on the next side. All right, have a good day.